They say home is where the heart is. But in my experience, home is just another asset for people to fight over. Welcome back. I'm Arthur Hale. Today, I'm opening case file 912. It's the story of two children who drove 4 hours to steal my house, and how I made them watch as I turned their inheritance into a pile of sawdust. Let's begin. It started on a Thursday afternoon in late July. I was sitting on the back deck of my cabin, watching the sun hit the water of Lake Erie. I bought this place 30 years ago. Back then, it was just a shack with a leaky roof and a dirt floor. My wife, Eleanor, and I built it up, plank by plank. We put in the windows, we laid the hardwood floors, we planted the oak trees that now shade the driveway. Eleanor passed 5 years ago. Since then, it's just been me and the lake. My children, Mark and Sarah, they hate this place. They grew up here in the summers, sure, but as soon as they hit 18, they couldn't wait to leave. They moved to the city, they got jobs in finance and marketing. They leased expensive cars and bought expensive condos. To them, the cabin isn't a home, it's a mosquito-infested dump in the middle of nowhere. They haven't visited in 3 years, not for Christmas, not for my birthday, not even to visit my mother's grave, which sits on the hill overlooking the water. So you can imagine my surprise when the phone rang. It was Mark. "Hey, Dad," he said. His voice was too bright, too loud. "Sarah and I were talking. We realized it's been too long. We miss you." I sat up straight. "You do?" "Of course we do. We were thinking, what if we came up this weekend for a barbecue, just like old times? Steaks, beers, sitting by the fire." I felt a lump in my throat. I'm 70 years old. I'm not ashamed to admit that I got hopeful. I thought maybe they've grown up. Maybe they finally realized that family is important. "I'd love that, Mark," I said. "I'll get the steaks." "Great," he said. "We'll be there Saturday at noon. We can't wait." I spent the next 2 days scrubbing that cabin until it sparkled. I mowed the lawn. I fixed the loose step on the porch. I went to the butcher and bought 3 inches of prime ribeye. I bought Sarah's favorite wine. I bought Mark's favorite beer. I wanted everything to be perfect. I wanted to remind them why this place was special. Saturday came, noon passed, then 1 o'clock. I sat on the porch, waiting. The charcoal in the grill was burning to ash. Finally, at 1:30, a black Range Rover pulled into the gravel driveway. Mark got out first. He was wearing a suit. In the middle of July, at a lake house, he was wearing a suit. Then Sarah got out. She was tapping away on her phone, looking around with a sneer on her face, like she had just stepped into a sewer. But they weren't alone. A third person stepped out of the back seat. A woman, sharp blonde hair, power suit, holding a leather briefcase. My stomach dropped. This wasn't a barbecue. "Dad," Mark shouted, walking up the steps with a fake smile plastered on his face. He didn't hug me, he just clapped me on the shoulder. "Good to see you. You look rustic." "Who's this?" I asked, looking at the woman. "This is Linda," Sarah said, finally looking up from her phone. "She's a friend. We brought her along for lunch." Linda walked up the steps. She didn't look at me. She looked at the house. She looked at the view. She looked at the roof. She looked like a butcher eyeing a cow. "Beautiful frontage. Prime location," Linda muttered. "Come inside," Mark said, ushering us all in. "We need to talk." They walked past the kitchen table where I had set out the plates. They walked past the cooler with the beers. They went straight to the living room and sat down. Mark sat in my chair. "Dad, sit down," Sarah said. Her voice wasn't warm anymore. It was clinical. "We need to have a serious conversation." I remained standing. "About what?" Mark sighed. He pulled a thick folder out of Linda's briefcase. "We're worried about you, Dad. This place, it's too much. You're 70 years old. You shouldn't be out here alone. It's dangerous. What if you fall? What if there's a storm?" "I've handled storms for 30 years. I'm fine." "You think you're fine," Sarah interjected, "but you're slipping. We've noticed it on the phone. You forget things." "I don't forget anything," I said. "Linda here represents a very exclusive developer. They are looking for lakefront property to build luxury condos. They are willing to make a very generous offer today." "I'm not selling," I said. "This is my home." Linda spoke for the first time. Her voice was like grinding glass. "Mr. Hale, the offer is $1.5 million cash. That is 30% above market value, but the offer expires at 5 p.m. today." Mark's eyes lit up when she said the number. Sarah actually licked her lips, and suddenly I saw it. They weren't here for me. They weren't here for the barbecue. They didn't care if I was lonely. They didn't care if I was safe. They needed money. "You're in trouble, aren't you, Mark?" I asked. He flinched. "What? No, I'm doing great." "I read the papers, Mark. I know your investment firm is under investigation. And Sarah, how is that boutique clothing line going? The one I loaned you $50,000 last year?" Sarah crossed her arms. "This isn't about us. It's about you, Dad. You're selfish. You're sitting on a gold mine, letting it rot while your children are struggling to build their futures." "I built my future," I said quietly. "With my own hands. I didn't steal it from my parents." Mark stood up. The fake smile was gone now. He looked angry. "Look, Dad, we tried to do this the nice way. We tried to have a nice lunch, but you're being difficult." He pulled another document from the folder. "This is a power of attorney application. We've already spoken to a judge. We have affidavits stating that you're mentally declining, that you're hoarding assets irrationally." My blood ran cold. "You're threatening me?" "We're protecting you," Sarah said. "If you don't sign the sale agreement today voluntarily, we will file this on Monday morning. We will have you declared incompetent. We will put you in a facility where you can be safe, and we will sell the house anyway." "It's happening either way, Arthur," Mark said. He called me Arthur, not Dad. "So, you can take the check and move into a nice condo in the city, or we can do this the hard way." I looked at them, my flesh and blood, the people I raised, the people Eleanor loved more than life itself. They were vultures. I looked at the clock on the mantel. It was 1:55 p.m. "You're right," I said softly. They blinked. "We are?" "Yes," I said. "I'm getting too old for this place. It's a lot of work. The roof leaks. The dock needs painting." Mark smiled. He looked at Linda. "See, I told you she'd listen to reason." "Where do I sign?" I asked. Linda pulled a pen from her pocket so fast I thought she might pull a muscle. She laid the contract on the coffee table. "Right here, Mr. Hale. Initial the bottom of each page." I walked over to the table. I picked up the pen. Mark and Sarah were practically vibrating. They were already spending the money in their heads. Mark was paying off his gambling debts. Sarah was buying a new showroom. I held the pen over the paper. And then a sound came from outside. Rumble. It started low, like distant thunder. Then it got louder. The floorboards beneath my feet started to vibrate. The windows rattled in their frames. Crunch, crunch, crunch. "What is that?" Sarah asked, looking at the window. "Sounds like a truck," Mark said. I put the pen down. "Actually," I said, "it sounds like a bulldozer." I walked to the front door and opened it. Pulling into the driveway was a massive yellow Caterpillar bulldozer. Behind it was an excavator. Behind that, a crew truck. The vehicles had the logo, Total Site Demolition. Mark ran out onto the porch. "What the hell? Who are these people? Get them out of here." A large man in a hard hat jumped down from the truck. This was Big Mike. I'd known him for 20 years. He ignored Mark. He looked right at me. "Afternoon, Arthur," he shouted over the engine noise. "We're right on schedule. 2 p.m., just like you asked." "Perfect timing, Mike," I yelled back. Sarah ran out, her heels sinking into the dirt. "Stop! Stop this immediately! We're in the middle of a sale." She turned to me. "Dad, tell them to leave. Linda can't sell the property if there's construction equipment on the lawn." I leaned against the porch railing. I crossed my arms. "I can't tell them to leave, Sarah. I already paid them." Mark froze. "Paid them? For what?" "For the demolition," I said. Silence. The only sound was the diesel engine idling. "You see," I said, speaking clearly so they could hear me over the rumble. "I knew you weren't coming for a barbecue. I knew you didn't care for me. I knew you were coming for the asset." I pointed at the cabin. "This house, this is the asset. This is what you want. The wood, the view, the value." "So," I continued, "I sold it." You sold it?" Mark stammered. "To who? Linda can beat her offer."
"I didn't sell it to a developer," I said. "I sold the land to the State Conservation Trust 3 months ago." Linda, the real estate agent, dropped her briefcase. "The State Trust, they don't buy houses, they only buy raw land." "Exactly," I smiled. "That was the condition of the sale. They want to return this shoreline to nature. They paid me a fair price for the land on the condition that I remove all man-made structures by August 1st. I checked my watch, which is tomorrow. Sarah screamed. "You sold the land? For how much?" $800,000, I said. "Okay," Mark said, wiping sweat from his forehead. "Okay, fine. $800,000 is less than Linda offered, but it's still money. We can work with that. Where is the check? Is it in the bank?" I laughed. "There is no check, Mark." "What?" "I didn't take a lump sum. I'm not stupid. I knew if I took cash, you two would find a way to sue me for it or guilt me out of it." I pulled a folded piece of paper from my back pocket. I put the entire sale amount into an irrevocable lifetime annuity. Mark looked like he was going to vomit. An annuity? Yes, it pays me a monthly salary for the rest of my life. It allows me to travel, to rent a nice condo in the city, to eat good food. I leaned in close, but here is the best part. The annuity has zero cash value. It cannot be cashed out, it cannot be transferred, and when I die, the payments stop. There is no inheritance, Mark. There is no lump sum, Sarah. There is nothing for you to steal. Sarah lunged at me. You crazy old man, you burned our inheritance. I spent my money, I corrected, and now I'm going to fulfill my contract. I turned to Big Mike. Mike, do it. Mike gave me a thumbs up. He climbed into the bulldozer. The engine roared to life. Black smoke puffed into the air. No, Mark shouted, running toward the machine. Stop! That's my house! It was never your house, I shouted back. It was mine. The bulldozer blade lifted. It turned toward the porch. I walked down the steps, past my screaming children, past the horrified real estate agent. I walked over to my old pickup truck parked by the road. I got in. I rolled down the window. The first hit took out the porch steps. The wood splintered like matchsticks. Sarah screamed and covered her mouth. The second hit went through the living room wall. I saw the window shatter. I saw the fireplace crumble. It was sad, in a way, 30 years of memories. But as I watched my children crying, not for the memories, but for the money disappearing in front of their eyes, I realized something. The house was already gone. It died when Eleanor died. Now it was just wood and drywall, and I was free. I put the truck in gear. Goodbye, kids, I said. They didn't hear me over the sound of the roof collapsing. I drove away. I didn't look in the rearview mirror. I live in the city now. I have a small apartment with a view of the park. I go to museums. I learned to paint. Mark and Sarah tried to sue me, of course, but you can't sue someone for selling their own property, and you can't get power of attorney over someone who just outsmarted you. They stopped calling, and that's fine, because I realized that day you can't buy love, but you can certainly sell the things that fake people love you for. Case closed.